All right, here we're going. This is probably already recording, but we are going live.
There it is.
Right. Oh, you missed all the goodness on live already. All
live.
the drinking in the morning talk and
no
judging. There's no rules during COVID.
Up to here. I got my foot, actually just there.
Yeah.
Just there. I swear to God on my life.
I just saw it the last
Mom, if you're watching, I swear to God, this is water in mine. It's water. Mom,
all right.
It's water in my Tami cup, just in case you don't know who I am.
Before you think we're just logged into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting.
Yeah. Good morning, Malibu.
Yeah. Don't get any wise ideas.
I'm Jono Break, Mark Phillips, Linda McCall. And we've got the beautiful Tami Holzman with us today. Tami, it's so exciting to have you back. Those of you who haven't met Tami before, you got to know Tami. And so we're excited. Linda originally connected with Tami. Linda, I might actually let you do a bit of an intro. And yeah.
So, I met Tami a few years ago through a wonderful colleague of mine who I met. And she introduced Tami and I in Australia over Skype, I think, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. And WhatsApp maybe because you were in Australia. Like
maybe it was WhatsApp. Anyway, doesn't matter. We have been in touch ever since. It's been 3 or 4 years now.
It's been a while, yeah.
Well, you're part of the family anyway.
Listen, you're the kind of people you cannot say no to. I mean, that's like
one from a Forbes person as well. My goodness.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm blushing.
Yeah, and she is just the most incredible lady, and has recently been mentioned, featured in Forbes magazine. So we are so proud of you. Can I just say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Tami has been helping female startups in Malibu in California for how long now, Tami? This is your gig, isn't it? Like, you there?
I feel like we lost Tami.
Yeah.
She's sitting there frozen at our end.
That wasn't water after all.
Oh. She really is a real person. She's... So I think we have lost Tami.
Yeah.
Actually, she'll
anyway, I'll just continue because
keep going. Yeah, we'll get the intro.
And has been helping startups in California. She's an investor and an advisor and incredible lady. So when we get her back,
we had Tami on one of our very first.
Yeah,
I think, and she was just the energy and the vitality. I mean, so much fun. I mean, as an author, you clearly see she's a motivational speaker. She's just got a ton of energy, and she's become a regular, or she's becoming a regular on our Instagram lives as well. She loves doing those, and she's always up to jump in and have a chat. And so she's been a great friend of Business in Bare Feet, and a mentor in the Sandtrax community and of the club. And so we've very much enjoyed having her around, and we can't wait for her to come back online.
Yeah. But so today we're going to be talking and focusing on female founders and what she has experienced in California since COVID has raised its ugly head, and so she will be letting us know what the journey of an female entrepreneur is, and then what she's experiencing firsthand. That will be very interesting. So I think that what she's been helping a lot of people through the emotional side of things as well with the female founders, not just being a female founder, but any founder really. She's been very, very prominent in...
it's been a tough time. COVID has been tough.
Yeah. You guys, I'd like to blame it on you because you're in a small town, but I lost my energy. I'm like, what's going on? I'm in Los Angeles, for God's sake.
Oh, it's those power blackouts.
And you like
this is on my iPhone that I turned the internet off of.
Now you just need to the other way so we can straighten our necks.
No, I know, but it really doesn't do justice for the whole thing.
That works well for us. Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I hope you kept everyone entertained. I hope that
gave you the biggest rap and you missed it.
Well, you can get the recording and you can hear all the wonderful things Linda said.
You know, I'm so into you guys. When you were talking about me, I was like, fuck, oops, can I live
That's right. We never said it was PG rated.
She's
Correct.
scared of herself.
Correct. I always check that. I always check that box in YouTube. This is not for children.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So welcome back, Tami. Linda, you want to wrap up? Or are you done?
I'm done.
Done. So
if we can get her back, that would be awesome. Come back.
amazing. We've got some problems with Tami's connection.
Oh,
problem connection.
those power blackouts in California early in the week really took a lot of businesses down.
The rules are so strict. I read it and I'm like, come on, better not. I'm here.
Okay. But
completely
it's not
lost
coming
it.
through.
It's not friend.
Oh,
It's not coming through.
Yeah, you corrected now.
So
Is it bad?
while we have some technical problems and we look at how gorgeous she is, she's actually as gorgeous on the inside as on the outside.
Yeah, so I think we've got some serious internet problems over there in California.
Yeah, wow. That's
I won't make a political statement, but yeah.
but did someone mention TikTok?
Yeah, she's blowing a data caps for the month.
Maybe.
And it's what the 10th. 9th.
Yeah. So we are in the Technolac, the Lac de Bourget at the moment, in a co-working space. So
back to my computer. Let's yeah.
Woo-hoo.
What did you? I heard you guys. It was so weird. You're like, she's as beautiful as she is. I mean,
it just made everything freeze.
I'm just gonna let you guys talk and correct you if necessary.
Excellent.
Tami, tell us. Let's start by you giving us an insight into some of the coolest female founders you've been lucky enough to meet in the last couple of months, in these tough times.
Oh my God, COVID's hard, but we have so many great female founders at Hologen, and that everyone should check out Hologen Ventures and see. We have about 60 investments, and they really range. And we've been getting pitches. This is what I think has been interesting over COVID. It's how do you translate the in-person pitches and getting that energy and the feeling of them. Because remember, if I didn't say this before, we invest in founders first, product second. You have to have a good product. So how do you get that touchy, oogie-woogie, those serotonins and oxytocins going when you're on video?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have this, you guys just naturally have this like it factor, but and you are in a casual space and you're with a good friend, right?
Yeah.
What if everything's on the line and you feel like, oh my God, we have to work with Hologen, or if I get another no, I'm just going to be so depleted and frustrated. So how do you translate? That's been interesting, how people translate their energy and everything through Zoom and get that across, because it's already hard enough in person to just let your guard down and be yourself and make those connections in such a short amount of time. So I think it's been.
What's some of the things you've seen people do to do that?
I think that, the one thing that, it's interesting, actually we take, which I hope that other people could take this theory. As a fund, I would say the general partner and even the two partners that are there, because I've joined a lot of the pitch sessions as an LP, they make it really fun. So they find something that they can do to loosen it up. They've had theme days where they're like, okay, we're going to dress in costume. Today it's Western Day. They just want to make the people pitching as easy as possible. Like, you know, even in person when we have our pitch meetings, they'll say, send us some walk-in music. Walk-in music, it's like a room of 10 people, you know? And so people like, I'll give you an example. Like I advise a company called Happy Again, which is doing really well. There's a good example, Anya Skoda.
Nice.
She's, you know, she's solving for dogs like arthritis and being in pain. She was a bioscientist at some of the top pharma firms, and she noticed her dog was struggling. She's like, I can help humans, but I can't help my dog. And then she realized there was this giant white space. She's doing extremely well during COVID because people are adopting dogs, and it's become like, you know, their highest priority, or one of them, and their children maybe, and work if they have it. So we do walk-on music. So when she came in to pitch, she did "Who Let the Dogs Out?" Woo, woo. You find something that is sort of represents like you, or, you know, if you had a dating app, you might do like all the single ladies, you know, you might do like Beyonce. So you find something like either in the spirit of what you're pitching, or just in the spirit of like girl power. And I think that really helps set the tone. So whatever you could do online, I think that it's a responsibility. It's just not the responsibility of the person pitching. It's the responsibility of the people buying and lending, that they're going to make it a comfortable, easy forum to get the best results out of people. So, you know, it always bums me out when people think I have to deliver. Guess what? They have to deliver too. Because it's got to be people you like, you have fun with, you could trust, you could call that anything. And that should go for any relationship you have.
Beautiful.
Personal,
I love that. Yeah.
And do you think it's actually helped some of these founders just to do more online where they haven't had to turn up in an office?
Yeah, because that means it's global, right? I think it's forced them to get comfortable. Listen, let me just be really honest here. I don't like going live. I mean, I am like totally vain. I like to second guess myself. I go back and look at the footage and it's always like that. I mean, crazy faces the whole entire time. I mean, I'm like a caricature. And so like, I
don't the same thing the other day for myself. I'm like, this live thing, it's really hard to keep a straight face. Like,
thank God for video editors.
I tried to find a screen grab of a thumbnail for another talk, and it was like, I sent them to my mom, and I'm like, which one do you like the best? One's like, I talk with my hands, so it's like, she's like, well, if I had to choose, like if you forced me to be done, it would be this one. I'm like, it was bad.
That's too funny.
So I think the more that you could just be yourself, but by the way, all that trying to be real and have those expressions and just be yourself and be passionate even through the camera and find a connection point and really make sure to look. I mean, I look off at times because I'm looking at a note, but really know your material so that you could just be, you should know your materials. Just talk from the heart, because the slides are secondary to what everyone's looking for. I mean, we want to see the key ingredients, and then we'll have questions. But the quicker you can kind of fly through what's on the screen, the more we could just get into questions and get to know you. And I think if you can, this is important in person and on screen, share something about yourself. Share your story. Why did you do this? And we want to love you. I mean, that's like, we want to love you. Everyone hates saying no. That's why I don't write checks anymore. I don't like to say no. I like to say yes to everything.
I think that's one of the things I love about the like the 1 minute pitches, is that you've really got to be succinct in that 1 minute, and then you've got 5 minutes to take questions. And
so much better. Great.
Yeah, I think it's a great discipline, because you're not really giving them much useful in 1 minute,
right?
But a connection, and so it's a great discipline to learn.
Yeah. So anything like in the health and wellness space, Mark, back to some of your questions, like has done, like, these are kind of categories that are definitely taking off. Anything that solves for non-touch, like delivery. We have a company named Shipsy that can deliver your product within an hour. It sends a ping out to all the last mile providers, like the Ubers and Lyfts and the Postmates, and you can get your whatever you order within the hour if it's available. Like anything that is solving for a problem, right, especially right now, you're seeing things explode. We even have a company called The Sill, which is super interesting because it's plants and how much people just need that. And they're exploding in revenues. Anything, home, a lot of people are into making their home feel good. So, there's definitely categories that are doing really, really well right now.
Sorry, Mark.
I was just going to sort of drill down a little bit more into the last couple of months. Now that the shock and a lot of the fear around the pandemic is sort of becoming a bit normal and things like that, and people are getting back to business and they're saying, well, Zoom is normal. Has it given you more of an opportunity to find maybe more of the wallflowers, the quieter people, the ones that are in cool
actually, you've got to be pretty aggressive right now because there's not networking events. I don't know if it's going to bring out the quieter people. It's going to bring out the people that have chutzpah, the people that can persevere, the tenacious people. Right. If not, it's going to, which is in a good way, it'll force you to become that person, because to have to get through them online, depending on what your title is on LinkedIn, you can get 100 invites like in a weekend even. So it's like
spend your life in front of Zoom these days. There's no doubt about that.
It's one of those things where it's like it's actually the opposite. It's more the aggressors. But I will say that if you have something really positive, you can get to the right person, because I think people, because of the self-reflection and what's important to people right now, I think that kind of can break through the clutter because people want to do positive things just in general. So anything that can have a positive, you're sort of willing to set up other meetings or spread the word because we all need that, positivity, so anything in that space that our positivity can kind of break through a little bit right now. As people are evaluating.
We're certainly seeing the mindsets are very different around different parts of the world, depending on what's going on.
I'm sure.
Yeah, the weather conditions are playing part of it. The different government responses have played part of it. There's some pretty heavy politics there in the States at the moment, kicking in with a presidential election around the corner. Less so in Western Europe, more so in Australia, where a couple of states have got elections going on. We're back into the fast-moving stuff, aren't we? It's back into.
The investments haven't stopped, by the way, because they may have just paused or put more money into their current investments, but funds still have the same amount of money they raised to invest. They have to invest it. Everyone needed to clear the brain, you had to put some kind of pause on investing to just see what the climate's going to be as far as, the lockdown and what's going on around the world. Yes, there is a huge influence around the world right now that's going on globally, but remember, we invest in the U.S. primarily, so you have to have a big U.S. market. And then I would say, unless you're a company that started there and you were in another country and you want to launch here, like there was a company called Shoe Bank that I'm working with. It was about swapping shoes. It wasn't about buying shoes. It was about putting your shoes in the shoe bank and getting an equivalent pair. They were an Israeli team. Mother, son, it was adorable. But anyway, they invented, by the way, the first teledoc ever, the version of teledoc, online doctors, 10 years ago, and they sold it to the Israeli army. And this is a family of entrepreneurs.
Actually, I'm going to pull you up on that one and tell you a little story alongside it.
Go for it.
I was in Samoa, in the middle of the Pacific back in '98. And I saw telehealth happening for the first time. In fact, I got a tap on the shoulder at a resort. I got invited down to the National Hospital. There's been a system just been built by some of my consultants in Australia. And there were all these islands with all these doctors and cameras set up with nurses, pictures to the National Hospital and then to the US and Australia when they couldn't have enough expertise inside the country. 20 years ago, stunning stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy sometimes even how you're like, well, why did you did it out of convenience, out of necessity? Well, why didn't we figure things out of necessity can be monetized, right?
Right. Yeah.
So now that you're seeing these investors, what are you seeing specifically coming through with innovation? Like, is there any areas that you're seeing that investors are interested in investing in?
Yeah, it was definitely like health and wellness for sure. Anything that can like even solve like something that I know we are going to talk about today. But like what could solve education is huge right now, right? How can we make this how can we solve for some of the education going online? How can we supplement? Is obviously very frustrating for the children who cannot go back to school. So what are some educational solutions? That's a big one. Again, anything in the homes, anything that solves a problem for the inconvenience of what's happening at the moment. And there's definitely different phases, but we don't even know. I don't think we're out of phase one. I mean, forget about phase two. So what can be sustainable? It's like, it's hard to invest in a company right now if you don't know, if you can't figure out the model during a crisis. And that could be any crisis, by the way, because there's there's different crises we have all the time. It's always good to look at like what happens during a recession, right? Alcohol, boom. Yep. I mean, you know what I mean? That's a huge like space right now. I mean, I hate to say it, but what's recession proof? It was alcohol. You can go back to the 20s, right? Bootlegging, alcohol. You can go beauty, recession proof too, even though no one's leaving their house. There's still a psychological component to I'm just talking about even recessions. It doesn't even have to be COVID, just recession proof.
Yep. Good point.
Take away food and confectionery were the other two big ones in the global financial crunch. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
we gotta eat.
I was interviewed on ABC Radio at the time about why is it that people are going to these, and I went, oh, that's easy because chocolate tastes good.
Right. Right. You gotta do anything. Yeah. So food is good. So we have a company that picks up leftover foods and they figured out a way to make it sustainable from restaurants so that it doesn't go unused, and the restaurants pay a fee to have that process. So
that's been talked about a bit, this community social responsibility and the sustainable development goals. I've seen that kick in over the last couple of months. Like I haven't seen it in more than 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's definitely a feel good where, social impact's been, I mean, anything with climate control. So anything like anything to do with
super strong in Europe at the best of times. So, and that continues.
Yeah. So any solutions for climate control are good. I mean, we have a focus, which is mostly, our lane is consumer technology companies you have to have one female co-lead. I mean, at the minimum, So, it's, but anything in climate is good. I mean, that's just I know someone raising a fund. If anyone interested in investing, call me. We'll go from there. And
also,
we'll get you to the right fund.
Put them in the chat and we'll let Tami know, and she can either answer them here or afterwards. So please answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to invest in individuals' companies, but there's also ways to invest in funds that are really aligned to your core values, which could be, doing something positive or social impact. Our core values are who they are as a people. That's two different things, right? So, and by the way, you'd want both. if you invest. You want the core values of the people running the fund that are aligned with yours. I mean, if you're a creep, go ahead and get a creepy, LP. But if you're a good person, you want a person that you think is a good person on the investment side. And yeah, so go ahead and feel free and call me about that, and we can kind of point you in there.
We're also seeing those West funds heading over to Europe here too. Much more since the outbreak this year. That there's been a momentum across the pond there. They're starting to knock around a lot of Western European startup centres. We've got a big event happening next week in Poland, for instance, which has got a number of American investors there, which I wasn't expecting to see when I sort of signed up.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that things are like happening. I mean, you guys are. I mean, you guys like anyone I know listening. I mean, they are digital nomads. I mean, feel free to tell us about your company if, and you've got a female lead, because this is supposed to be geared towards women. And we rule with the Beyonce song. Mine's going to be "Rule the World" when I walk in.
I have to work on that one. I think the Star Trek theme song's the ones kids running through our head at the moment.
Totally. We're like,
which one?
Across the universe.
Oh yeah. There's got to be something on world travel for sure.
Yeah.
So beautiful segue there. So we did promise our listeners today we're going to be talking about female entrepreneurs and the journey. Now this kind of came up too, Tami. You and I had a random live Instagram thing or whatever it was. We were on one of the channels a few weeks back. We didn't record it, unfortunately, but you started talking about how the state of, in a lot of respects, the game for female startups, women starting up in business and women leaders has actually taken a few steps back.
Yeah, it has. And that's why I'm like, I want people to really double down on women right now. Not only, I mean, it's definitely the right thing to do financially. Let's go through why it's smart. Maybe let's reverse it. Yep. A company that has a woman that's a co-founder, according to, I'll tell you, Upfront Ventures, 65% more productive. 65%. If you have even if you have a team that's just diverse in general with color and men and women, 19% more profitable. A corporation, if they have a woman that's if they have 30% leadership, it's 6%. And 6% more profitable as well. So just women alone at 30% of the leadership. I mean, women control $20 trillion of consumer spending. And we control 80% of purchases in the household. And there's only, I want to say, let me just get you the right number.
Why investors wouldn't be particularly interested in balance?
It doesn't make business sense. So this is why I'm saying this first. I'm reversing it. Only 7% of $130 billion of venture capital was invested in women. And let me break it down too, because let's just say white women are the majority of the only 7%, 17% of Asian, 2.4% of Middle Eastern, 1.8% of Latino, which is, by the way, 33% of the US, and 1% Black get funded. These are horrific numbers. Just absolutely horrific. We just talked about the diversity and how important it is and how much more lucrative it is. And that's the breakdown for women at 7%. I actually have chills. It bums me out. It totally bums me out. I want to say it's 7% of, did I say that? I mean, we're at 8% of female CEOs, record high.
But
8%.
So apart from, the system being biased towards white...
Everyone but white people. And women.
Is there more perseverance or is there less perseverance? I
think right now, I mean, I would definitely say that I see a lot of people putting their money where their mouth is right now, are starting to. Even just was reading an article in Hollywood, the requirements to have a movie. It'll be interesting. It was just exploding last night and today on the news. But to have, I think it's a minimum of one lead that has to be, they list what the criteria is of diversity for a movie to be as a lead for Academy. Even it goes from this cast straight down to marketing efforts and hiring to team up for who's shooting the movie. Single role has a requirement that they have to fulfill for diversity. So, and Hollywood is ends up being a voice for many scenarios of what happens in our society, actually, for better or worse sometimes, because Hollywood also, movies can give good and bad messaging of stereotypes. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, that's definitely a big development in the movie industry today. Yeah. But I know, do you want to...
law. This was voluntarily put out by the people that run the awards, so this is...
This is put out, it's a committee with studio heads and producers, and they're taking a stand as of last...
And that's the background, isn't
last
it?
night.
Producing.
It's what?
That's your background, is producing.
Yeah, background's entertainment. So it's always nice to see how technology influences the entertainment business, and the entertainment business influences just messaging in life, right? Entertainment business sort of covers the gamut as far as, movie making, television, news, everything.
Yeah. And also in innovation. Because,
content.
If we didn't have those space movies and, the projecting what we could be doing in 2060.
Oh, the imagination.
It increases, innovation. So
it's going to be really interesting. So it's definitely something to follow. As far as what COVID did, I think, Jono, that's what you were asking. We're getting to that. I wanted to first I wanted to reverse it. Because first I thought I was going to talk about how COVID.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Because I want to talk about this impact it will have, knowing that if you make the right investments in the right people, that a company can be more profitable and more successful and more productive.
Love it.
Now, what happened between February and May is 11 million jobs have just disappeared from females. Women are 11 billion jobs gone, poof, women jobs. This is a decade of work of our advancement in gender equality, at least. I mean, some people said there were some news stories that were saying we're taking us back to the 1950s. And I think the reason that they were sort of feeling like this is taking us back to the 1950s is because when push comes to shove, and there's children involved and someone was going to go back to work, where do you think the default position's most likely going to go? To women.
That could also open up opportunities to be able to start their own operations, their own ventures.
Yeah.
Well, this is another reason we're on the phone, to figure out how can...
Mark, how to get there? You're getting to the end of the interview here.
Oh. I think I should have read the notes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think making people aware that this is a real issue, and how can you offer women flexible job situations? What can we do as a society? What can we come up with as far as solutions in the marketplace? Like there's a girl I work with called Stay in the Game. And this is pre-COVID. So there's a really good opportunity right now. And because what ends up happening before COVID is that when women take off some time to take care of their children, or just caregivers, even if it was a man, how do you keep these skill sets up and go back into the workforce and have an even playing field? I think, it sets people back, the system. So she's got a company called Stay in the Game, Mona Andres. And what that does is she's got flexible working with the corporations to make sure that these women, they're in the game and they're not losing any opportunity. for employment and advancement. And we need as many, women to advance past a manager level. So and there's another company called Beyond Barriers that's got a training program, right? So we're looking to do something together with those two companies, because the two combinations of keeping women staying in the game and advancement, and even coaching them through those opportunities and how to approach it. But I think it's really all the efforts we're putting in. It feels pretty devastating to see these numbers, and 11 billion jobs disappeared. Oh, and there was another crazy one. Oh God, this is not good. Women's jobs are nearly two times likely to be cut in a recession than a man. That's just, and until we are closer in this gender gap, it's going to be like this.
Yeah. But
I know. By the way, we need to find the positive. We need to find how can we figure out these solutions.
Too long.
Mark, you brought up a good idea. It's funny. We have a new investment in something called Pop Shop Live. It's easier to tell you about stuff when they fit into the conversation. Pop Shop Live, where you can actually sell your merchandise online, like QVC Live.
Yep. And
it's funny because one brand I work with, and one of my very best friends, Tokidoki, who sells like Japanese anime, like very kawaii stuff. It's a very big global company. Been in years for 15 years, and there are some of their stores are selling a product online, and it sells out like hotcakes. Yep. There's something about the live interaction, and people want in on. Yeah. So what can you do that's live and makes it interactive? So Pop Shop Live is it's almost like, okay, it's like crack. You can't stop once you start. Although I've never had crack, but I only can guess.
I'll have to look it up.
I've gone as far as marijuana. That's it.
We have a European company doing something similar, so I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Yeah, no crack here. Only legal drugs.
So okay, so you're a female now. Maybe you have been laid off. Maybe business is struggling. I don't know. They're probably two different groups. What are the next steps?
Oh God, good question. It is a good question. What is it next? It's time to put it's in a really weird way. It's a great time of something you were really scared about before, like reaching out to people that were really intimidating, or that it's a good time to say, I love to pick your brain. You think that we all are so busy, and you can be so busy, but you're not traveling anymore. You're not driving to a meeting. So there's more time in the day to actually be productive. So I think for just knowing that on the other side, for people that are looking for work or would like to connect to people, because maybe they're making a pivot. There's a lot of stuff happening during COVID that could be beneficial for you. Yeah, it feels like hell, someone said one door closes, the other one opens, like, and there was a girl named Jeannie, I don't know if she's on live, but she says, yeah, but there's hell in the hallway sometimes, I was going to say,
the corridor sucks.
Yeah, the hallway sucks. And, but it's time to, be a hell, you don't want to be hell in the hallway. So what could you be doing at this time that would make you happy? Like, I've taken stock. So first kind of figure out what you might want to do. And if you're thinking about what you might want to do, go ahead and interview some of the people that you haven't been able to get to. Drop them a note saying you're looking for a change. You like to pick their brain, maybe compare notes. And this is a good time to reach out. People their hearts are like much more open right now. I feel like COVID's changed people. Mm-hmm. And if it hasn't, you don't want to talk to them anyway. Good riddance. Mm-hmm. If you're not a better person throughout this experience, I want to flip off the screen, but I'm not going to. I want to be like, what I'm saying. I'm going to do it out here. Yeah. Take a hike. Take a hike.
Interesting you say that.
Yeah. So
in the last conversation, one of the couple of conversations before in a fireside chat, someone said, we have been so productive in this time, and Mark and I have found that we've been super productive in this time. So, for some reason you seem to think you have more time, but it's kind of a bit of it's a change of format, really. And so it's almost like a fake extra time.
It's a bubble.
A bubble
effect, yeah.
But it's been really beneficial.
That's awesome. I think you can find silver linings in really bad times. Also, some of the best companies are invented solving a problem in bad times.
Right.
Solutions, yes, I would agree. And just back to that, figuring out what really makes you happy, what you really want to do. Start to ask for advice. If anyone gets this quote, we'll figure out how to get you a book. But who said it? Ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money twice. If someone could figure out who did that quote without Googling it right now within 30 seconds or whatever, you have all the time in the world. You get a book. Yay! I'll give you 15 minutes of my time, solo. How's that? Woo! If anyone wants to pick my brain, whatever they want.
Awesome.
So it's true. So I think, take a moment and figure out what you want to do and what's important to you. Passion, doing something that makes you happy will usually money will follow. If not, at the least you're happy.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
But it's an interesting journey because there's also those people where you would have seen this. You also do leadership coaching and so forth as well, where it's like, why is it they just don't push through, right? Is it just that they're lazy? And a lot of it's just their internal fear sets. And I see this a lot. I see it in both men and women. Men, it's more subtle. Women, it's just out and out like, I've got a family to take care of, or I'm busy doing this, or that's not something a woman should do, or something like that. And it's almost like there's belief systems that sit there that are different to men in some ways. Same.
For sure, it's harder for men to be vulnerable.
But they're different belief systems. One of the things when I've ever coached women in particular is often particularly if they're mothers, is that sense that they're not a great mother because they're working so hard.
Right.
And to break some of that off them.
Right.
So you probably would come across a lot of this in women entrepreneurs, like, yes, but.
Yeah, it's got a name. It's imposter syndrome, that they just never feel like that they're second guessing, and that it shows up. It can show up everywhere.
Yeah.
But they are successful. I turn it into a positive because I have it, so I fight it all the time. And I have to do mental exercises to get myself out of there. There is a intersection between emotional intelligence and imposter syndrome. So if you can kind of work through your imposter syndrome, that's where you pull in that emotional intelligence.
Where that comes from in the first place. Yeah.
That self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
But they are juggling, what they need to do to be the best mom they can be. I think we are extraordinarily hard on ourselves. I think men are in different ways. They don't verbalize it because vulnerability often leads to how they feel, which is not how we perceive. That's part of self-awareness. How do you perceive yourself versus how other people are perceiving you? And they can be drastically different. And that's when you can master that piece, right? But women, by the way, so let's just go back to imposter syndrome for a minute. So 70% of successful people have imposter syndrome. So what I tell people when I do public speaking engagements or I'm talking one-on-one, I want you to have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I mean, if you never had it, I'm more concerned. I want you to push the envelope. I want you to take chances. I want you to feel like second guess, because that means you're taking chances. Yep. I mean, potentially taking a risk. You're not just living in this middle. And we're all guilty of it. You're like, I'm scared. I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to be a mom. I can barely take care of my plant, So if I kill a plant, forget about it.
Mums are absolute. My sister is a mum, and I'm always quite in awe of her because I think that mums are the best entrepreneurs because they are jumping over stuff every second of the day, trying to make things move and shake just to get the simplest things happening. Parents alike, really. But mums are just pushing stuff out of the way.
They are the CEO of the household.
Yeah,
they shop. They run the budget. We already know that. We just talked about it. They're 80% of major purchases, right? So they run the household budget. They're the CEO of the household. They run the budget. They decide what you're going to do socially. They manage the children for the most part. This is not everybody. This is a general.
The most part.
They also negotiate. I mean, best negotiators ever to get, they negotiate with the kids every day. How do you apply that to any kind of business? They know how to make $1 last potentially forever. I mean, so what's your runway if you're a girl versus a man? Come on. Your runway is going to be monthly.
You're out there and you're listening. Start innovating, girl.
Yeah.
I've got a question. We were talking about female entrepreneurs and innovators. What about these female investors that are out there, these LPs?
Let's talk about female investors. There needs to be more. And I'm only saying this because women control 60% of the wealth in at least the US. 60% of the wealth, I want to say. I want to double check that. 60, but it is around 60% either it's in the US or the globe. It doesn't matter. Where are they putting their money? It's more educating, right? So a lot of times they are doing it for, maybe it's the stock market or it's charity. How can they invest back in women and make it a conversation that's open up? How do they get to these opportunities? How do we get to them, right? So their money, women have the potential money to invest, but we need more female investors. A lot of times, just listen, where we are in society still is that somehow they sort of left it potentially to the husband to invest. They could have been the ones with the money, married someone and still left them with the investment opportunities. So, it's, there's a startup I saw called Giveful, which is democratizing charity, and I do love it. It makes it accessible and available, and brings it into corporations as well. And it's for ultimately the money goes to charity. So one of the things we discussed is, well, why don't we get women to invest in a company that ultimately is charitable, but it's sustainable, right? So, and how do we break that down? Can we get, what is it? What's the minimum to get in? Is it, 50,000? But now you're not only giving it to charity, it's thinking outside the box constantly. It's not only giving it to charity, but now you're an investor in something that's sustainable, that's for profit.
That change of mindset. You're investing, you're looking for a return, you're looking to have winners over losers. You're purposely directing your investment to something that you want to result in personally.
Exactly. And now you can make money because even this is something maybe everyone should know about because it's a way for people to potentially get money that they haven't thought of. So a lot of the foundations by corporations their foundation has money to give to companies now that are for profit. It's not only that they have to give monies for nonprofit, so a social impact for nonprofit. It also has it where it's for profit. So people should know that so they can give money. And you know what? You know what's amazing about that? They don't want anything in return. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I would not only take their money, I would ask them to do a marketing campaign behind it. So not only do you get the money, you get the marketing dollars. So what can you get from them? So if you're asking for, let's say there's a company also I work with, I advise, called Busy Girls, which is an entrepreneurial camp for girls from 8 to 15. And they're camps. And now it's online. And they also have an end game of it, putting it on a store like an Etsy where the kids can sell. But they learn everything about being an entrepreneur. They put a press release out. They create a product. When they create a product, they do the branding. They put a press release out. They manage the P&L. And then they could put it online and sell it. And so it was like, okay, well, there's sponsorship opportunities there. And you can get a bank to finance the transactional component. You could get Procter & Gamble for, you know, their products for, you know, coming into adulthood. If it's, honestly, who cares? This is adult stuff. Come on. If they're tampons or whatever they're selling, I could say tampons from grown adults. You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, my point is that there are products about becoming a woman. And we have a product, by the way, called Flex even in our portfolio, which is a social impact thing. It's cups, it's period cups and discs. Insane. They're doing insanely well because you can reuse these cups. So it's something good for the environment.
Right, for the environment.
Yes. So there's all these ways to get, companies can potentially raise money that is not as traditional, but a different path.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I want money. Can I have money?
Monies. It sounds like lots of it.
I mean, it's like shrimps. I want more than I don't just want shrimp. I want shrimp.
We just want more prawns. So
I want more monies.
I know you said you had to wrap up.
Marshall, is my stepfather on here? I want shrimps. You
want
if you comment. Yeah, the prawns I think works, but shrimps, it's not. It is plural.
No,
it's the one more.
Like sheep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tami, we obviously just coming into land now because you've got to jump off in a minute. But
I do.
As always, it's like I can see the guys at the other end have been furiously writing stuff down. We do our takeaways and so forth that we post afterwards.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
I'll be on there for the next 2 days.
I condense it to just 5, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I would be like, can we just start over and ask me for 5 tips?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. No.
No, we don't.
But any parting conversations, any parting shots?
I think that, I think it's a time for you to follow your heart, lead with your heart. If you're a leader, lead with empathy and look around. I think when you take meetings, don't assume that we're so tough on the other side, where everyone's humans first. What we do is second. A lot of times we think our work defines us, but our character defines us. So look at other people, whatever you're doing, that have those same character traits, and who they are as people. We're humans first. Let's say investors second, or entrepreneurs. So try not to be as intimidated, and know that most of us have imposter syndrome. We're all second guessing ourselves. We all want the best. Everyone hates saying no, but I want women to go. If it's women, I want women to go for it, because this conversation is about helping women. And if there's men that are listening or anything else, please, consider, when you're looking for a founder, make it a female. You're going to be more profitable. And you need diversity. So don't just look at people at all different ethnicities and colors and opinions, because that is going to make your product successful. It is not, when you have very like minds in the room, you're not going to be hitting potentially the right target markets or getting as much business as you would if you had a diversity involved with your operations.
It's not rocket science.
It's not. It's really common sense. It really is.
Although it was
you don't have diverse thoughts. You're not going to have diverse. You're going to have one kind of customer. So
yeah,
and it could be this small.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So the sponsored word of today is diversity. Can anyone spell diversity?
Diversity. I agree.
That's
diversity.
Tami, it's just awesome as always chatting with you, and we'll look forward to having you on again as our regular.
I'm nervous. I've only had 1 cup of coffee.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the next one, maybe we can get out to Malibu. There you go.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Linda, I'm so happy you joined as the female founder of this company. So I'm happy to see your face and your gorgeous hair and smile. And Mark, your gorgeous hair and smile. And Jono, your gorgeous hair. And
I'll take that.
Bald is beautiful. My brothers are bald. Yes.
What's wrong with that?
It's nothing. I just said it's beautiful.
I love it. Yeah. So, you know, I never had COVID hair. Never.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky. I mean, I barely know how to do my hair anymore.
Tami, you are always gorgeous on the inside and on the outside. So
thank you.
Always loving having you on, and cheers for now, and we'll come and see you soon.
Yes, I will not be drinking gin and tea with you. However, for all that you want to know, we're going to leave this parting thought. Linda was at my house during a layover when she was in California, Los Angeles, and I had this tea from Cambodia that I never used. It was very intimidating. I have this tea, and she's like, oh, this is the real stuff. And so we figured out how to make it in a French press because I don't have that little tea thing. And I'm like, this is horrible. She's like, this is the best thing ever. And I'm like, please take some. And she's like, she took a little bit because she didn't want to be rude. And I'm like, I haven't touched it since. I mean, and it's like the real deal, I guess. And so anyway,
the real deal.
Yesterday on the Insta Live, I said, Linda was logging in, and I said, well, what can I spike my tea with? This is not good. And she's like, gin. And I almost threw up in my mouth. Like a little. And no.
Long Island iced tea, maybe. Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Jono recommended some honey, and I said, I think I need a splash of tea in my honey. I need a reverse. But I'm going to come up with another cocktail and leave that one to you. I got the gin and I got the tea, so come back and visit me.
Okay, honey.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Shout out to everybody. Thank you for joining. I have no clue.
So good, Tami. Thanks so much again.
Thanks, guys.
Love your insights. Just love your insights.
Oh, I love you guys. You're so amazing. Everyone should check Business in Bare Feet and Sand Tracks and join their community. Yeah. They are the most loving, supportive, giving people. They have a list of mentors that are kick-ass, including those ones.
Including that one.
Gorgeous girl right here.
Yeah.
You're right there. And
we'll see you. The BIBF,
I got to jump on this call, but I got to jump on I got to help a little team out right now. But I will see you guys in Business, Bare Feet and Sand Tracks.
Yes. You're in bare feet, so I love it.
I'm in bare feet right now and sweat.
Yay!
I just showered, I swear.
I am too.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.